weird again. Where my glasses at? Y'all think I'm finna live stream the whole time without my glasses? That's wild. Alright. Okay. Let's get our disclaimer out. We got a few things to talk about. We always got stuff to talk about. We got a few things to talk about. It was looking pretty scarce at first, but we got some things to talk about. Yes, I am live streaming. That is my email telling me yes, I am. That yes, I'm aware. I'm aware. Just making sure it's good. How did you move in this spot? Just cool. Tools as we do our disclaimer. Disclaimer, the videos presented here are for informational purposes only, and therefore, if you are to choose to attend an institution, please do your own research and consult with a specialist at the institution that you are interested in. I am not a financial aid specialist, academic advisor, or representing any institution. Speaking on behalf of Creator Henry is only speaking from his experience. Okay? Speaking from experience. And disclaimer, I'm not a financial advisor. So, oh, you got some nerves getting on my board. Gotcha. I got him. Got him again. Yeah. Okay. Now that I did the disclaimer, let me go into the control room, guys, as I'm setting up. Because usually I have to wait till I start the live screen first. And let's see. Yep, we are in here. Before we start. Making sure we good, we connected. Perfect. This. Just make sure y'all can see better. All right. Let's go. So, first thing. Well, let's rock out, as I like to say. Private colleges are not safe. Now, as you know, we've been talking about some private colleges lately. Because I thought private colleges were safe in all of this going on with the Trump administration, budget problems, because a lot of private colleges depend on student enrollment, of course, but they just depend on tuition money, which I feel all schools should be like that. But they do, that's what they solely rely on. They don't even rely on federal money as heavy as the public schools or some other private schools. But private schools are struggling, and we are about to find out a little bit more why. Are they struggling so much? Private. So, per Chronicle Higher Education, it's about these budgets being busted, as we, of course, that's been our highlight, because that's what we've been saying for years before. That's all my research. It's funny, it came to the light that, you know, these budgets are terrible pretty much at all higher education places, which got me wondering. I always do wonder, like, what did you go to school for? Because if you're supposed to be watching them budgets being good balance and, you know, making sure it's balanced and not lopsided, which I've been doing, but I don't want to go down that rabbit hole just yet. So it says the operating margins have winnowed to their slimmest point in more than a decade. Even though revenue from tuition and fees is up at most private colleges, as it should be, because when you go to a private college, like I said, parents, students, they know the consequence of when their students are going, or when their child is going to a private school. They know it's expensive. They should have no problem paying the money. So it says up at most private colleges, and we got a link to that too, which is always beautiful. It says tuition dependent institutions are generally having the most difficulty as enrollment and cost pressures mount. Once again, tuition dependent institutions are generally having the most difficulty as enrollment and cost pressures mount. But it says tuition and fees is up at most. Oh, in a bad way. Okay, revenue from tuition and fees is up at most. But hold on, when you say revenue from tuition and fees is up, we finna see. Because the way they worded that, I don't think they worded that right. Because when you say, they didn't go to school for finance. When you say revenue from tuition and fees is up, I'm assuming it's up as in like people are paying it. Not like it's up as in it's expensive. So we finna see. So this is Fitch Ratings. I don't know if anybody heard of Fitch Ratings. This is Fitch Ratings. They are a non-rating action commentary. I've never been here before, so it looks like, is this credible? It looks more like it's opinionated. It's not that much in here. So they said United States. Okay, U.S. Okay. So U.S. not-for-profit private colleges operating margin levels hit new low. So for all my finance people out there, what's good with you, G? What's good with you, G? For all my finance people out there, this is up your alley. Sector pressure is bearing down on U.S. private colleges and universities, with margins under intensifying pressure, according to Fitch Ratings in its latest annual median ratios report for that sector. Despite a return to growth in net tuition and fee revenue across nearly all rating categories, operating pressures have led to a decline in median operating and adjusted operating margins, reaching their lowest levels in over a decade. The sharpest declines were observed among lower rated and more tuition dependent students, indicating a persistent struggle to balance revenue and expenses. Sharpest declines were observed among lower rated and more tuition dependent institutions, indicating a persistent struggle to balance revenue and expenses. So, struggling to balance revenue and expenses. Okay. Pressures continue to mount. This is what they said in the brief a little bit. Pressures continue to mount at both ends of the rating spectrum as gains in student fee revenue were contrasted by new highs in tuition discounting. Okay, so since they discounted, so private schools been discounting non-profit private schools, they say they've been discounting tuition, but they've been increasing the fees to offset it. While capital spending has rebounded to pre-pandemic levels. Okay, capital spending has rebounded to pre-pandemic levels. That's good. And tuition and student fee revenue has increased year over year. Okay. Many institutions are still grappling with older facilities and limited flexibility to address ongoing challenges in enrollment and cost management. The sector outlook, that's a highlight right there. That's a highlight. The sector outlook remains tested on various fronts, and operating margins and financial flexibility will remain narrow in 2025. Okay. So, okay. All right, we got some good stuff right there. So, how can I start it off? The parents and students are paying the tuition and student fee revenue with no problem. They're paying it, as we talked about. This is related to private schools. I'm about to say not for profit, but that's the same thing. This is for non-profit private schools. Like, they're paying the fees, they're paying the tuition, or I guess whatever else that comes with it. If they decide to stay off campus, they're good. They're paying it, but they're still struggling with older facilities, and then enrollment and cost management. But the key thing in there is enrollment. So you're getting, because we know private schools. Like I said, I never went to a private school in college, but one thing I know for sure about private schools, I'm pretty sure it's the same. If you want to go there, you apply there. If they want you, like any other school, they come get you. I know it's not that much of a big difference, but private schools are really struggling to enroll students. They're really struggling to enroll students. Why? I really couldn't answer that question. I believe I can, but you know me, I like to be humble on some things because once again, it's like it's private. You go get the students. It sounds simple, right? You go get the students that you won't usually. Only a limited amount of students will get into your school. That's literally the whole point of a private school. So for them to be struggling with enrollment is more, I don't know. What I can say is that them struggling with enrollment for private schools is just I think a wake up call that it's like your prices are high. But I just really think a lot of people, I think a lot of people really just are not. I think a lot of people really just don't want to spend the money because I don't really see nothing wrong with private schools as far as like you're choosing to go there, you let them in. I think you're just missing some type of money. Um, if we go, I'm not gonna lie. If you go look at demographics for private schools, I think we all know who go to private schools. I think they're missing dollars from certain people because I really don't know how they're struggling with enrollment. Like, what has changed in the last 10 years with private schools? Like, price has always been high at private schools. That's never been a secret. But they said they're struggling and facing challenges in enrollment. They're going to continue to face challenges in enrollment. Anytime you're trying to, so going back to everything going on right now, anytime you're trying to like G, let me see what G said real quick before I keep going. But I definitely was going to say, hold on right quick, G. This just made me remember what I was going to say. Anytime you don't allow people. All right. G said, I think I said this before, but I believe this has been happening for a while now, where most of the best students that they are fighting for are going to Ivies if they get in or going public. Yeah, you said that not too long ago on the live screen, G. They're fighting for going to Ivies if they get in or they're going public. Yeah. If they don't get into the Ivy, you said they pretty much going public. G said, I even noticed it myself that the best tend to go to the Ivies or public with scholarship. And then it doesn't really help schools, I guess. I don't know, like I said, I never worked in the private sector, but of course the leader in any traditional setting, right, they would tell them immediately like, you're just not working hard enough, right? Because it's a lot of people in the world. It's a lot of people in the world. And maybe we have too many private colleges. This can spark up a debate, right, G? Maybe we have too many private colleges. Like G said, G went Ivy, y'all. And G said when they don't get into Ivy, they go public and they go get a scholarship. I seen that myself. That's why I couldn't even argue against that, because I seen plenty of students who had hopes of going to bigger schools, and then when they didn't get in, they just settle and go somewhere where they can be like the star player, essentially. A great example is like somebody went to the University of Alabama to play football, but it didn't work out. So after they transferred from the University of Alabama to play football, their sophomore year, they transferred to like Oregon. They went into another conference and they can be a star player over there, get drafted, boom. Same thing in academics. When they don't get into the best, they go to a school, they settle. Not even settle, they just be like, I'ma just do my thing and then chuck it up and then and just try to crush you. And so G also said right here that mostly because of money, they ask if it is even worth it to pay private prices. Exactly. Like, guys, we just talked about USC, for example. USC is a private school. Like the Trojans, the red and yellow school that we know in football, basketball, and all that, they are private. And if you go look at the prices that they charge per year, you would be like, is it worth it? Because G just said, like, they're asking themselves, like, is it worth the price? Is the price even worth it? And G said, exactly. They settle for honors of a public college because they can get a scholarship and save money, or just pay less even without a scholarship. And with all of these loans disappearing, that's only going to get worse. And public schools will become overrun. Yes, which goes back to our main thing, G. When you said the public schools will become overrun because everybody doesn't want to go to a private school, right? So then everybody's trying to fall into the public schools. And then public schools are kind of like, right now, public schools are like, we need students right now. If we go look at data, enrollment has not been the same in the public sector. So hopefully public schools can do that, but then on the other hand, we have another problem. Public schools are raising their prices as if their prices are not already high. And then the public schools are complaining about, oh, we have to raise our prices because inflation, you know. And then we go to another topic of it. Public schools, all schools, but more of all, you know how I feel. Public schools. Yeah, right. It's not even sunny outside. Let me know if it get too bright out there. Public schools are paying public schools, all schools, but public schools are paying presidents, execs. You already know, like we said, Ben Sass, he paid his homeboys and girls over $250,000 in a salary. Saint Augustine's chair spends money personally, and so, but they all have a lot of money. But then again, they're getting money, but they're struggling to maintain and get students. As I would say, somebody is lying. And I just seen a post by Shio too. SHEEO. Shio is a credible outlet. We got a new person in here with us, G. This is Musa Memyan. If I said it right, I'm gonna call you Musa. It look like Musa. Hey, just got your live recommended on my homepage. What are we talking about today? Hey, so we are talking about a few things here. Usually we talk about higher education, of course. We talk about how you can save money in higher education starting at a 2-year to a 4-year, but we also give you updated trends in higher education, and we build conversation. And so hopefully this community, if you go to college, you can give us some insights about how your college experience was, because we hope to get young people in the live stream who can learn from everyone, that can save money and know what not to do in college. And I was fortunate enough to get a debt-free degree and save a lot of money in college and invest while in college to change the game of higher education. But as you keep going and asking questions, we can keep talking about that. And so you said something else. Musa is Arabic for Moses. Oh, okay. Yeah, I met somebody Arabic in the military. That's dope. I appreciate you being here. if you stay long enough. I appreciate it. And so me and G was having a conversation. G also appreciate the follow up, G. Well, now everyone, now everyone does not want to pay private school prices. In this economy, right? It's already hard to find a job, and because they are chronically online, I'm sure they see this stuff. Yes, and that's what I was just gonna say with Shio. Shio is a credible. I should. They have so many initials in academics. Do they have a lot of initials in computer science, G? Because higher education got so many acronyms, you would have thought they was the military. So SHIO is, once again, I had to type it in. It's the State Higher Education Executive Officers Association. And so they're based in Colorado. And SHIO just had a conference, and somebody was speaking and saying how they need to be more transparent with prices and tuition, of course, and they just have to be more transparent with students, because students want to know the truth in higher education. Like, before they enroll, they want to know, like, is this school right for me? And as I say in my interviews, I say this all the time in my interviews. Oh, got a new job too, G. I got a new job. So I'm back at a 2-year college. I'm back at my home. I'm back at a school that an industry I wanted to be in. That's what the surprise was, G. That was the surprise. And so, because I'm transparent with you all. So what that's going to do, what that's going to do is that's going to allow me to invest more back into the business, of course, and upgrade the equipment. So I can show you guys what I do when I'm breaking out into college or what I'm looking at. So I'm very excited about that. And it's one of my, I could say, early on dream jobs until I get to the next phase in my life. I did want to say that. So yeah. So Shio, yeah, they had to be more transparent with students. And I say that I was saying that in my interviews, because I went through a string of interviews these past few weeks. And you just have these students, these parents, they don't have nobody trustworthy in their corner. And you go look at, like, for example, if you go look at the sticker price on the website, right, it's not even accurate. I'm telling you, like, what you need to take out. When I break down the college, I'm telling you what you need to take out. Usually a college is going to have miscellaneous personal prices in there. They're going to have miscellaneous, like, oh, your miscellaneous personal expenses is like an extra $5,000. How do they know what's going to be your extra $5,000, your extra miscellaneous $5,000, right? So that's why I tell students, like, look, you got to break down the prices yourself. If you don't break down the prices yourself, you're going to be in for a rude awakening, because the price you see on the website sometimes doesn't match. And then even when we use the U.S. Department of Education, it's very accurate, but at the same time, the schools always do a last minute change. Like, for example, remember I talked about the University of Minnesota. University of Minnesota just upped their tuition price. They did a tuition increase in June. School starts in August. Do the students know that? No. But some schools put it on their school website, some don't, and you just see an increase and you just pay. And so we like to bring that to your eye, because you need to know that information. How do you address it? Well, I'm going to tell you to start a 2-year and bridge to a 4-year. And then that's what we do at the end of the video. We break down 4-year colleges, universities mostly. And I tell you, like, if I would transfer there, if I was transferring from a 2-year college to a 4-year, would I transfer to that university? So it's very, very important that you do this early, because you don't want to be caught in that student loan trap, right? The student loan trap is not going away. Like, and that's going to lead into one of our next segments about the grad plus loans, because you have it's predators out here. So G was talking, my bad, G, and G said, and to top it off, it's getting harder to get loans. It's getting harder to get loans. Yes, G, because that's actually our next topic. And that's going to be our long topic. That might be the one that help us get to our 2-hour mark. We don't never struggle to get to the 2-hour mark, but like I said, I don't like to waste your time, because I know your time is valuable as well. If I don't have no real stories, I'm not going to hold you hostage. I want everything to be, like, worthy of your time. to where if you come in for 10 minutes, you got something. And then you come in and you see me looking at a screen, I'm not moving. I was looking up something because they make the information so hard to find sometimes. And so, and then G said, of course they are going to, oh, and of course they are going to go after the cheapest or the best. Yep. You talking about when you say cheapest or the best, you're talking about the schools, right? Like students trying to pick schools, G? That's what you're talking about? Don't forget to like and subscribe, guys. Like and subscribe. That's how we get this video recommended to you all. So you can save money in college, or your parents, or your little sibling, or little cousin, brother, because they got to have a future too, you know? And G said, congratulations. I see you retracted some stuff. Appreciate that, G. Appreciate that, G. Because that's going to help me mash a button on a lot of stuff. The cheapest school or the best return on investment school, which is usually an Ivy. You just had to slip that in there, huh, G? The best return on investment is usually an Ivy. You just had to say that, G. You could not you just had to say, yeah, you know, best return on the I, which is usually an Ivy. An Ivy is not the best return on investment. So me and G have a back and forth in here about Ivy and public college, because G went to Ivy, I went to public college. And so we go back and forth sometimes about who's better. And so, but it's all love. And so Musa said, why is education so expensive in the United States? Like, I'm a final year computer science undergrad. Shout out to you. We got another computer science in here. Dang, did I do the wrong major? We just got all kinds of computer science. Don't forget to like and subscribe. So, like, I'm a final year computer science undergrad student from Pakistan. And the total cost of my program for all the 4 years is just 52. No, that's $5,262. Oh, wow. Really? We learn the same things that someone in the United States does. Really? Huh. Interesting. Well, thank you. Please subscribe so you can keep bringing your perspective. Education in the United States. Now, this is gonna be so. I can explain it, and G, feel free to step in, but don't overdo it, G. Don't overdo it. So, America is a capitalism place. We as most people say, when I talk to people in the military, I talk to people from Peru, South Africa, Nigeria, Haiti, England. I talk to people from a lot of places. That's where I got my, I would say, broad perspective from. And every time I ask people how America is, they tell me it's fast. I say, huh? They say it's fast here. And because I was born and raised there, of course, I could never really understand how fast it is because I'm used to it, right? And they say it's fast. And we are just a capitalism place. We turn everything into a market, money. Because I'm not a finance person at deep, but I just know like education. Education is valuable in our country. I think in any country, as I talked about, I feel like other countries cherish it more than America do. I would say that for sure, because I'm a strong believer in that. See, I wasn't like that at first. At first, I didn't think education was worth anything. I thought you can get far in life without education. You can get very far in life without it, but you can go. And there's no telling, like, you could put a limit on yourself if you don't have education. But if you have an education, there's no limit, I feel like. Like, the sky is your view at that point, right? And so, in this country, we make it expensive, because if we make it expensive, as I put on I did one thumbnail like that, you're forced to do as told when you don't have the knowledge, right? Knowledge is a commodity, And so when it's a commodity, people sell it for a lot because they know, like, if you just learn how to make money, you can always make money. If you learn how to make it on your own where you don't have to go into your job, then guess what? If you learn how to make money and you don't have to go into your job, then guess what? You're going to lose a workforce. So you have to make education so high and expensive sometimes, in my eyes, and make people stay naive and ignorant to the point where, hey, you're going to have to keep working for me, essentially. And when you ask for a raise or you ask to advance yourself in life, you have to come through me. So then that's why I say they put a cap on you. And that me and G talked about that before, like the certifications. Like people think certifications are the move, but in reality, certifications are really, to me, sometimes are a trap because G said Google. It was Google. I remember this, G. You said Google. Google offers certifications, like Google certifications, and you can work with them. But I was like, well, and I'm pretty sure G was too. I don't want to put that in G mouth. But if you try to go somewhere else, you might can't go nowhere else with that Google certification, right? So education is so valuable and so expensive because they don't want you to really just advance sometimes. And it's just expensive because we're American. We're capitalistic at the end of the day. That's the short term version. We're just capitalistic country, and we just turn everything into money. So G said the difference is a much higher cost of living in the U.S. Okay, and higher education being a machine. Mm. Google only did that to get the talent that chooses not to go to college. Exactly. And so, and G probably finna start spilling the beans. And so, yeah. And so, cause Musa, yeah. And so Musa is Pakistan. That's interesting. Yeah, I think that's beautiful how you can have all people from around the world watching your live stream. I think that's beautiful. Like, and she's telling me, I believe I'm sorry, Musa. I'm sorry. I'm just assuming. Don't get me. I'm assuming. I'm just assuming. But that's not what I'm supposed to say. Musa is just telling me that their education is only $5,262. Is that dollars, Musa? Is that $5,262 American dollars, or is that another currency? Because I am not the best currency person. Like I said, I will tell you now. I don't. All I know is the American dollar. I do not know the pound, the yen. We have only two. Yeah, I'm sorry. That it's a habit. The name came off as a woman like, and I just assumed that it was a woman, and I don't know that. That was me. Yes, I'm talking about American dollars. That is wild. It's American dollars. That is wild. And then G said that's what I was saying about computer science being different. What you were saying being different about the computer science, G? Expand, G, expand. Musa, don't be scared too. Please don't be scared to ask questions because that's what helps keeps the chat going. That's what helps bring more people, and that's what helps me get better. Because I'm learning from Musa right now, and I'm always learning from G. And so when we learn from each other, that's how we keep going. Because trust me, we gonna be good. You don't really need a degree to do it. You don't really need a degree to do it. But then I want to ask the question. I want to see if you're going to change your answer, G. Because I know your answer, but I want to see if you're going to change it. There are tons of boot camps and online resources. Do you feel like you can get a job anywhere with computer science, though, if you don't get a degree, G? Do you feel like you can get a job anywhere? If you do the boot camps and the online resources, do you feel like you'll get a job right away in computer science? And how is computer science gonna be affected by AI? Can I get that going real quick? I do want to ask a question about that. I know they say I think certainly if you are good and they're not superficial. Superficial. Okay. How you feel about AI though? I never asked you that, G, or Musa, since y'all both are computer science. How will AI affect your jobs? I do want to get that going. I feel like that's a good sub conversation, especially for two computer science. Y'all gonna give me some information that schools don't have. CS will certainly be affected. Already is being affected by AI. Hmm. Okay. So if y'all are going to be affected by it, because see, computer science, I know cybersecurity. That's why I keep saying a lot. Cybersecurity being affected heavily. But computer science, because computer science, y'all do a lot of coding in computer science, right? Computer science does some coding. And then for anybody ready for the next topic, we will go to the next topic. I just want to get some information out of my computer science majors in here. And so Musa said a few years back, degree wasn't that important and everyone was getting CS job right after finishing a 4-year month. I said 4-year month. Finishing a 4-month boot camp. However, now things are different. Hmm. There are, while companies dedicate to AI coding. Recruiters don't even consider you if you don't have a 4-year degree. Huh. Yeah. Oh wow. I love that. That's interesting. Now I can shut down a lot of people who think they know things about computer science. Now I can shut down people. Now I can shut down people a little bit. Because people are quick to tell me, you don't need to go to school. I'm going to school for computer science. You don't need a degree for that. A lot of people are still running off that stigma. They're still running off that stigma a lot. And I felt like that stigma was running out. You can look up windsurf. I think windsurf is a stock too. Let's see. I think windsurf is a stock too. I think I heard that. That's a company. That's not like a company. Windsurf. I feel like I heard that company before. You also have to remember. Yes, they are. Very different. Very different. That's why I love right now we can bring all those perspectives. That's why I love it. That's why I love it. Different perspectives are amazing. And G, I looked up. Yes, a company. Okay. I was about to say I just looked it up, and you don't want to know. Windsurfing came up. Oh, Windsurf is an AI company, right, G? That's what you're saying. It's a AI startup. You also have to remember. Huh. Okay. Most of the projects we get in Pakistan, it's not really different. I have a friend from Pakistan who also went to Columbia. Well, Musa is over there, G. Let's see what Musa says. And keep the debates very friendly. I like a friendly debate. That's how we both stay educated and make our chat so elite that when people come in here talking very crazy, we can call them out on it. So it's oversaturated everywhere. Musa says oversaturated everywhere. Yeah, it's an AI coding company. I'm going to definitely check into this. How long you knew about this? Don't let me get y'all off topic. I agree, it is oversaturated. So how long you knew about this company, G? I never heard of this company, and they have a lot of news going on. Appreciate that, G. Appreciate that. So let's keep going real quick. Let's keep going. So grad plus loans does not help low income. So yes. So I have found something about grad plus loans. And let me see, where is it? Did I find that on social media? Did I find that in Chronicles of Higher Education? Grad plus loans. 1, 2, 3. So right here, yeah, I found it in Chronicle Higher Education. It says per Chronicle Higher Education, which is credible. They said who loses without grad plus? Haha. Nice and respectful as always. Yes, 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 yes. I like my scholars to be very respectful to each other because we're going to have conversations that the traditional higher education space can't have. And I feel like we should have these conversations. That's how you create real unity and respect for one another. That's my belief. And then G said, yeah, I have known about it for a while, but Google just invested in them. Ooh. And I think they private, but I don't want to get sidetracked. Disclaimer again, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a financial advisor. I do my investments for myself. So it says who loses without grad plus. So you already know me, guys. If you are new, I don't like loans. I didn't take out any loans going to college at all. And as I said before, I think I paid a total of between 20K to 40K for my whole bachelor's degree. But I say 20 to 40 because you got to add in my master's, because I have my master's degree at the end of this fall semester. So when I cross the stage in December, or when I finish out the semester in December, because we start August, I will have my master's in higher education. Master's in interdisciplinary studies of higher education. Pretty much what I'm doing now. I decided to do this creative and innovative approach. Look up college articles, of course, give my perspective on them, and also give you why you should start at a 2-year and bridge to a 4-year, and why you should tell your family member about that. It is very U.S. based because I'm in the U.S. I wanted to start U.S. first, start local, and then before going abroad, because a lot of research I did learn about, the U.S. does not do a lot of research in higher education about other countries. I did learn that as well. I talked to my professor about that one-on-one. He couldn't answer it directly. He gave me some resources to read up on. I have not read it yet. And so, but I have talked to people in different countries about higher education and how it is. And they told me, I just know, only thing I found a common pattern that they always said was that college is important. They cherish college way more than Americans do. So that is one of the ultimate goals. Ultimate goals is like to go see how college is in other countries, of course, and just show people how impactful higher education is, but also save you a lot of money. So I don't believe in loans. I was excited when the grad plus loans got took away. A lot of people might not agree that the grad plus loans should have been taken away, because the first thing Chronicle Higher Education said right here, that of course I just have to talk about it, is they said institutions that serve a large number of low income students will take the biggest hit after Republicans' newly enacted tax and spending package eliminated the grad plus program. And so I'm glad colleges will take a hit off that, because they're being predators on low income people. Why would low income people take out another loan, a grad plus loan, and they most likely don't have the financial education? I have literally I'm from low income first and foremost, so I can speak on this with clear and concise, like no hesitation. Why would somebody from low income continue to take out loans and they don't have the financial education? And they're not even mapping out how much they're going to make in the future. They're not even building out a strategy of how they're going to pay their loans back. They're just taking them out. And I don't think that's just low income. I feel like that's low income to middle class, first and foremost, because I know middle class as well. And so schools will take a hit. Schools need to take a hit. The schools in America need to take a hit. The universities, first and foremost, need to take a hit. Because as I talk about all the time, guys, I did a paper. I mentioned it in my paper. It's from the Higher Education Act of 1965. G probably heard me speak on this a lot, because I was wearing it out at one point. It's called a preferred lender arrangement. You can look it up on Google, type in preferred lender arrangement in higher education. It should come up. And preferred lender arrangement is where pretty much your college has an agreement with a bank. And then when you go to the bank to get a loan, your school is going to recommend that bank to you. 9 times out of 10, your school is going to recommend the bank they have an agreement with. And the bank is going to give you the money guaranteed pretty much. Now, Grad Plus is a federal. Let's be first and foremost on that. It is very federal. And so the money with that is guaranteed all the way, 100%. If you need the money, they're giving it to you. Usually. I haven't heard nobody ever get denied getting federal money. Unless they just haven't, I don't know. Like, they just always get the money. But they took it away, which is good for low income. But the preferred lender arrangement is where, like I said before, that's more like private side, like private entity. So when you go to like XYZ Bank and say I need 100,000, and then it's for law school, they're most likely going to give it to you, and then 100% probably going to give it to you because your school has an agreement. Like, look, give them the money that boosts my enrollment. So then you built the whole system on what? Flawed enrollment numbers, flawed retention rate numbers, because you were giving under this preferred lender arrangement, you were giving these kids loans just because y'all had an agreement as a college. Y'all didn't care about, and we already know how that goes with banks, right? They don't care about what your income is. Usually they just give you the money and go off your credit score. And if you fall for that trap, then you have a long way to go with financial education. And so the Grad Plus loans, specifically on low income students, I feel like it's going to help a lot of low income students. They're going to feel it the most for sure, no doubt, because they're going to need their own money, and they're not going to be able to go to anybody for the money if you are low income or middle class. So you're going to have to look for more scholarships, of course. That's what they say, more scholarships. As G would say, you know, hopefully the school has merit-based needs for you. Because some people pull out, they say this Grad Plus, so Grad Plus is strictly for graduate school. So I can't even say that. And so it said, which made virtually unlimited loans for graduate education. Yeah, unlimited loans for graduate education. So you was just pulling out loans. It was unlimited. Yeah, you wasn't going to get denied. You just pull them out as much as you needed, which is a terrible, terrible thing. But behind the Grad Plus loan being taken out, they actually put a cap on it. They actually put a cap on it. I remember talking about it on the live screen. It was like $275,000 for a whole year of college education. Now, I don't know if that includes loans, but that's what they've been talking about. So college leaders worry that diversity will drop at law. I just said that. That's crazy. Didn't I just say law school? That's crazy. So as I kept advancing, I just seen that. So college leaders worry that diversity will drop at law in medical schools, and that students will increasingly factor price into their decisions. So let's be clear, guys. Law school, medical school they say college leaders worry. That's the next traditional stuff I be talking about right there. That's the next traditional stuff I be talking about. They say, oh, college leaders worry diversity will be falling. They don't care. College leaders don't care. Because if they cared, they would have dropped the prices of med school and law school. There's no justification for why law school costs 6 figures. There's no justification for that. Law school is literally nothing but paper and books that don't cost that much. And a computer. And an instructor. There's no justification for that. Law and med school. There's no justification. Med school, they can get away with it a little bit because lab coats. What else? You got lab coats. You got the lab. I'm not in the medical field, guys, so bear with me. You got the lab items, the lab everything you need in the lab. The microscope. I don't say microscope, Lord. What is it called? What my medical people at to help me in the chat? All the medical stuff. That stuff costs thousands and thousands of dollars. Don't get me wrong on that. But law school being like a house more, it's crazy. It baffles me sometimes. So saying that it's going to affect, it's been affecting diversity. It's been affecting diversity. If you got money to go to law school and med school, you are good. If you don't, like, it's going to be very hard. So this is where I come in. This is where I come in. First and foremost, this is where I come in. Let me do this. Let me sell myself a little bit. This is where I come in. So they're taking away Grad Plus. It's the end of the world. I ain't gonna be able to chase my dreams. I ain't gonna be able to go to med school. I ain't gonna be able to go to law school. Oh, God. No, my life is over. No, your life is not over. Your life is not over. So first and foremost, if you want to go to law school, first and foremost, start a 2-year college. Why didn't you start a 2-year college? I need a bachelor's. Start a 2-year college. Why? Because you can go to school to be a paralegal. You can get your associate's degree in being a paralegal or some type of law depending on the 2-year. My 2-year college had it. This 2-year had it. Right here. This 2-year had it. So I know they had it. Everybody else should have something close or similar. And that you go there, do your 2 years there. Then what you do now? Once you get your associates, you get a job in paralegal. You're most likely going to get a job over somebody who doesn't have experience. Like, I applied to a job, from my colleague, one of my close friends, I would say, they recommended me to apply for a job in paralegal because I was just job hunting. It's getting crazy out here in higher education. This before I got the job in higher education, right? In my new job. So you have to, I was like, I applied. I changed a few things. I didn't change my whole resume. I didn't feel like it. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. And they did not take me. But if you went to school and got associate's degree in paralegal, man, that's a good paying job. They pay pretty good. So what you do with that? You take a part-time job or full-time. Do what you want. Part-time, full-time. But you need to be saving up your money in that process. Save up your money. Then when you bridge to a 4-year, I want you to bridge to that 4-year. I did an articulation agreement. But where it gets even groovy, as I like to say, it gets even more smoother. Make sure that university you're trying to go to has a law school. Or make sure that university has an agreement with your potential law school. You see what I'm saying? You got to really think in advance here. Because you never know. There could be another type of agreement, another pathway, articulation agreement. Articulation agreements are not just for 2-year to 4-year. You can have them at a 4-year to 4-year. You can have them from a 4-year to law school. You can have them for associate's degree to BSN for my nurses out there. So that means you get your associates in nursing and you go straight to getting it in your bachelor's, master's, or whatever. You can do it all the way to articulation agreement and pathway agreements are very versatile. That's why I get upset with higher education, because they minimize the scope of them and they're not really working like they say they're working. That's why I get upset. As many parties as they throw in higher education with these presidents, execs, or whoever, they're not doing enough to make college more accessible and better. But don't worry about it. We're going to break the barriers, of course. We're going to put them on the spot, and they're going to get upset. And then they're going to have me hopefully I don't have to testify before Congress or nothing, because then I'm going to be like, man, I ain't even go to school for this. They're going to be drilling me with questions. I'm just like, I just try to give the community something y'all couldn't offer. And then they're going to say, you don't post this. I'm like, oh, Lord. Then we in the whole heated debate. So G said, while I think the prices are high, you got to keep in mind that lawyers make a lot of money. And so to convince lawyers to teach, they got to pay them a lot, and they do. Same with medicine. Okay, that's a good perspective. And then the students come out and make a lot of money and can therefore repay the loan anyway. And that's where the financial disparity comes in right there, G. Because I know people. I'm watching people. I'm watching peers who are, they went to these schools, right? The graduate level schools, like the not regular graduate, like med school, law school, and many more, right? And they're coming out making the money, but guess what they're saying, G? This is what see, people forget that everybody doesn't have the financial behavior you have, G. People don't have the financial behavior I have, right? Or Alice Marie or Musa. They don't have that financial behavior, since we're all in here together, right? The average person, when they get out of that type of school, is that they do get a job. The problem is when the arts gets the masters. The problem is when the arts get the masters and can't get jobs that can't pay loans. Hold on, you ain't finna talk about the arts. Hold on. Keep that one. Keep that one right there. We're gonna talk about that one. I feel like you were talking about me a little bit. I feel like you talking about me a little bit. I'm in the arts. Hold on, but I'm gonna stay on topic. They don't have the financial behavior, like money, financial education, money behavior. Yo, I'm coming for you, G. Just wait. Financial behavior is like 80%. The mathematics and like no being good with numbers, that's 20%. And so what I mean is that most people when they come out of med school, law school, they want to have a good time. And sometimes that good time lasts for 2 to 3 years, G. And people don't want to pay back the loans, man. Like you said, they're making the money, but they go do the most common, traditional American mistake. And I love my country. Don't get me wrong, I'm in the military. I love my country. But they do this common American mistake. They go buy a house, or they gonna buy a car, or they gonna start a family. Bro, they just do you can't do that no more in this time. That blueprint does not work no more. The blueprint doesn't work no more. And they think they can do that with $300,000, $400,000 in student loans. Or let me be realistic, 200 to 300,000. But I know it's 300 and 400,000 because you got people that's gonna go to USC, right? A school like that is very expensive. Just naming them as an example, expensive college, right? That's charging you 98 grand a year. Or we can go to a more cheaper school, a school that's gonna charge you 25 grand a year. Then you got to go to law school. You already know that's 6 figures. So depending on the law school you go to, you're about to pay an arm and a leg. So then you have to pay at least $300,000 back, G. Some of them not making it ain't even about making that money out the gate, but they're not making that at an entry level law school. So essentially, vice versa, they can be making like somebody who makes, like they might make 70, 80K, but it's probably really in reality the same as somebody who's making 45 to 55K. It's about more of what you can retain and then reinvest it. And so, and then if you got interest, or hopefully with the new Trump administration plan, and you borrow the money the right way, right? Like, hey, you get something with low interest rates or no interest rates, hopefully, you can work something out in that aspect. And really, like, you have to gazelle your student loans. If you get student loans and you're getting them, you have to gazelle it. You can't be like, you can't go through it. You can't go through the motions. You got to really attack it, because it's going to keep building. You got to attack it. You got to attack it as if you're trying to go on vacation. You got to attack it as if you're trying to get that new phone. You got to attack it for all my low income people. You got to attack it for in middle class. You got to attack it as if you're trying to get a new car. You have to put the money there. You have to put the money on your loans. Or you could take this 2-year to 4-year route, or 2-year to the 2-year to JD, or 2-year to med school route will save you a lot of money. I can't guarantee you'll get a debt-free degree as you work your way up the ladder. But one thing I can say, you're going to save and make a lot of money. Because everything that's offered at med school, bachelor's level can be done at a 2-year. And I know what you're thinking. How does that help me? Because you can get a job right away. That's what the Trump administration, they just pushing it wrong a little bit. Like Department of Education, they trying to make you go do blue collar work. But you can definitely do like everything at a 2-year. Like I said, law, medical, anything you could think of. And take that job when you get that associate's degree. Take it and go get a job that pays really good. And it's better than working. Oh man, I can say it. It's not that it's better than working at McDonald's, because I know the time we live in. But McDonald's ain't finna guarantee you. They're not about to guarantee you hours. They're not going to guarantee. McDonald's is going to give you shift hours. when I got my associate's degree and went to work and get a part-time job, a part-time and full-time job, I had guaranteed hours. I knew what I was gonna get on that first and that 15th every time. And that beats like working somewhere where my hours can shift. Cause I talked to people. I was like, man, Walmart make good money. Then they said, well, that's if they put you on a schedule. And then I said, you see what I'm saying? Cause it was stories, and I talked to people who were like like high managers, and they were like, yeah, but if I don't like you, essentially, you ain't getting no. I don't have to put you on, cause you gotta think it's a lot of people in that job in that career field. It's like we just used oversaturated. It's oversaturated. It's not like, oh, you know how many people it is out there who don't have a degree of some sort and forced to take jobs in places like that. I will never forget this. I would never forget this. Real talk. Never forget this. I was so upset about getting a job at my 2-year college, right? I was working as a math proctor person, real quick. And I ain't forgot about you because I'm about to get you. I was working as like a math proctor, making like, at that time I was making like $8 an hour. $8 an hour. And I was so upset I was making $8 an hour. Because I knew people at Walmart was making more. And they always make more. Like I think any of us can say that when we worked at least me, when I worked in a college job, people at Walmart, they make more. At least hourly. I don't know if they get the hours, but hourly they make more. And I was upset with the $8 an hour at that time. I was like 18, 19. And so, and then the lady said to me, she said, why you upset? I said, she was like, I ain't even say it yet. She said it to me. I said, well, I can be at another job making more money. And then she said, what? She said, what, you want to, she said, what, you want to work at Walmart? And then I never forget. That's the only part I remember. She probably said some other positive stuff after that. I said, Walmart. She said, you want to work at Walmart? And like, it wasn't even the fact that Walmart, it paid more. It was just the identity of it, right? And so, because I don't think she thought about that. I knew Walmart paid more. And so the way it came off is like, would you work at Walmart? And I'm like, yeah, I kind of would. In my head, at that time, I'm like, yeah, I would, because it pays good. But then again, the connections I got, of course, at the 2-year going forward, like I said, the hours were consistent. And that's the thing you're going to get when you get your associate's degree, or that associate's degree in whatever area you choose. You're getting guaranteed hours. And hey, don't feel free to clip that. Feel free to clip that. Catching me saying this about Walmart, people gonna come over here and get me. They gonna get me because they gonna see that clip. They only gonna see that part about Walmart. And what you trying to say about Walmart? And I'm like, look, you ain't watched the whole video. So what was you saying? You better not be busy at work. You ain't finna say this and then run away from me, as we like to say, run off on me. Because G said the problem is when the arts get the masters and can't get jobs that can't pay loans. What you trying to say, G? The arts. Liberal arts? You coming for the liberal arts, G? And you saying when we get our masters, we paying too much for our masters and we can't pay our loans back? Talk to me, G. Come on, G. You ain't getting away on this one. We good. We got a lot of time left, G. We got a good time. We got one more topic, but we got a lot of time. You gonna respond to this? I hope your co-workers, co-founders, and business people, I hope they can hear me, cause you ain't gonna get away with this one. G said also, well, that's not necessarily true because law school graduates go into 80-hour weeks just like med school graduates. Yeah, I'm talking about liberal arts, LOL. See? You see? It be your own people in the chat. It be your own people in the chat. Talking about your degree. Talking about your degree right in front of you. Liberal arts. Let me tell you, G. Liberal arts, we are the best. Gee, liberal arts, we are the best. Now I can't speak for all the liberal arts people out there. Yeah, you my people, G. Yeah, you still my people. But let me tell you, liberal arts, we the best. You know, we the best. Let me tell you, look. Now you right. I can't count for them going to get a $200,000 bachelor's in liberal arts. Now I ain't say do that. I didn't even do that. You know, I went to a 2 year and went to a 4 year, got my liberal arts. I feel like I'm doing pretty good with it, you know, paving the way. Cause you're right, it is a lot of people like who they take those teacher jobs. Like you got a lot of people that, and like I say, people teachers become millionaires over time because teachers are in that liberal arts area. I'm talking like MFAS. What's an MFAS? What's MFAS? Master of I'm gonna say my answer first. Master of Art Science. Is that what you're talking about? That's what MFAS stands for? And so the issue is that the jobs you get with masters don't really pay the bills or the loans. Masters of Fine Arts. Yeah, that's what I said. Masters of Fine Arts. Exactly what I said. Okay. And so the issue is that the jobs you get with masters don't really pay the bills or the loan. That is the problem. That is the problem. That is the problem. Because they are some of the most expensive degrees, but with the least amount of return. And that's why I hope the return goes up in the future with AI. That's what I'm anticipating. Obama even said liberal arts degrees will be more like communications. Of course, like just being good with people. Working in those industries, we should see some money. I'm a little hesitant though. I don't think like, cause you know, gee, I'm in Georgia, as opposed to a MS in computer science. Yeah, we're gonna see. We're gonna see. We might see a reverse. We're gonna see, G. You know, I'm gonna stand with my degree in my community. And my degree, I'm gonna stand with my degree. I actually disagree that their value would increase. I think our value would increase though. You gotta think though, G. AI is coming. I got nieces and nephews that don't know the difference. G. I got nieces and nephews that don't know the difference. And I'm pretty sure you got nieces and nephews, if you do or don't. Or you might have a kid. But I kind of disagree with the master of science and computer science as well, if I'm being honest. I wish you had a voice on, G. I really wish you had your voice on. Because I'm gonna stay on this topic real quick about so you can type faster. I'm gonna stay on the topic of, where is it? AI started by taking the jobs of customer service. Yes. And what I want to say is, let's stay on this topic. So you can type faster, right? Let's stay on this topic. AI, my niece and nephews don't know the difference. If I showed them a picture that was AI generated, I should tweet you. You on X? You on X? See, now you're getting me off topic. But G, as you keep talking, look, my niece and nephews don't know the difference. If I showed them an AI generated picture, they wouldn't know the difference. And one finna be in middle school, the other one getting ready to be in the higher elementary level. And so they're going to be, like, for example, you just said content creators, right? That's the point. They don't know the difference, right? So if they don't know the difference, then dang, here you go. I see what you're going to go with that. But then if they don't know the difference, I feel like it's going to make them have to come to a real person and be like, I was talking to somebody that's not real. And it's all theory, right? In our we can't predict the future. And so it's saying, so like, if you don't know the difference between the AI, right? Or what's AI generated or like anything, right? That's going to make you have to go talk to a person like me, I feel like, who is genuinely a real person. Like, you gonna have to, I don't know how it's gonna look. Of course, like, we are, people gonna have to start putting disclaimers on their business. Of course, like, this is a non-AI, this is a genuine real person. You're talking to a real person ordeal, right? And so G said the reason you will have a job is because you're niche, and more importantly, you're real. Right. So you saying everything? So everything's going to be literally artificial. So everything's going to be artificial in the future. Is that where we're heading, G? We're going to be in an artificial world in the future. That's what it sounds like. Ooh. We're going to be in an artificial world. But I do think teachers, human resources, well, they get paid good. I can't say human resources. They've been getting rewarded for their pay. But definitely teachers. Who else? Shoot, even my career field, higher education. Higher education doesn't get paid well. It ain't no secret that we don't get paid. Like I said, the only people who get paid in higher education is the execs and the presidents. And hopefully we can change that. And G said, like I said, AI is going to take over a lot of things with no social safety nets. I don't think teachers or HR is safe. How? What? So you think HR? Hold up, wait. A lot of HR has already been automated and has been for years. So what about, you said teachers? How teachers are going to be replaced by AI? I find that hard to believe. It's so much that a teacher has to do as far as like, like writing on a smart board. I remember days writing on a regular board, writing on a smart board, regular board. Your application is tossed oftentimes before a human even sees it. That is true with HR. That's why I can't even debate that with HR. Yeah, they on the chopping block for sure. HR is gonna be on the chopping block because when they start reading my resume and they was pretty much like, it's bad when you talk to HR. You're like, hey, my application got rejected within 5 minutes. They're like, oh, you probably didn't put the keywords in there. So wait a minute, you literally want me to change my resume to what's on your jobs and responsibility? Yeah, this is weird. We're getting a little weird right now. We're getting a little weird. The whole process of, don't even get me started on that. The whole process of interviews is already artificial at that point. So you're not finding the right candidates. So G said, while they may be last, if tech companies have their way, students will have individualized learning communities online, and the teacher would just be the facilitator. Schools are already tech full now. That is true. One thing I can say in college right now, before we go to our last segment, guys, one thing I can say in college is that I did not need, let me say this, I needed my instructor for questions, but I never needed them to teach to me. Everything I did was self-taught. Like, yes, everything to me I did was self-taught. So I was an online student I was always hybrid. And then when the pandemic hit, I just went full online from there. I just never went back to the classroom. I felt like I wasn't getting anything because also, guys, if you know me, I said I've been off social media for 5 or 6 years. When I was going to school with my classmates, I felt like I wasn't getting no engaging conversations with them. I felt like they were saying regressing answers. That was me. In the most nicest way I could say that. I feel like as a person, the stuff they were trying to talk about was just like, it's hard. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. When you read in books like Mark Cuban, The Sport of Business, I read that book at the time. I read a book on small talk by Patrick King, I think. And then I read a book on. It's actually right here. Give me a few seconds, guys. I can show you this book. I love this book. I gotta show you this book. I feel like everybody should read this book before they're 25, or even if you read it afterwards, after you're 25, it's even better. But it's better to read it before 25. My mentor gave it to me when I was riding the city bus transportation. This book right here, Quarter Life Crisis. When I read this book, my whole view changed on college immediately. I'm not even gonna lie to you. And I think that's what he was trying to say without telling me not to go to college, because he understood education was important, but he also didn't want me to get caught up in the wrong side of things. And so this book right here by Alexandra Robbins and Abby Wilner, they did very good on this book, because G said you should read the book 3 times. This might be a book I might just read again if I'm traveling, just to have some leisure, because man, this book, man, I read that book at 18. And so that's just to add on to what you were saying, G. And then G said, and we both know that it is only going to get worse with schools downsizing and laying off faculty and staff. Yep, because we have been talking about them cutting staff. We have been talking about it's a very good book. It's a very good book. It is. We've been talking about staff. Yep, because staff been cutting colleges, at least in higher education, guys. They've been cutting the most. They've been cutting the most important people. They've been cutting the most important people, man. They've been cutting the most important people, and we already see how this goes. It doesn't change. The one thing about history, it doesn't change. History repeats. It's going to be a little different, but it's going to be the same. And so when G is saying like, well, G said, well, they are simply going to use AI to plug the holes whether they like it or not. And eventually robots. Yeah, because maybe this could be a reason, an excuse, or maybe this could be a grand plan to be a chance to implement robots and implement AI. With all the hiring layoffs in higher education, maybe that could be the grand scheme of things. You know, like I said, like you said, G, of course, liberal arts, I feel like liberal arts will be a safe career field for us, for the ones who do got degrees and masters, right? Because you're still going to need human interaction, right? Because in higher education, I could be a little biased, but in higher education, we all have to talk. We all have to talk to humans to get stuff done. But I won't sit here and say, like, instead of needing, like, how can I put it? Because I even got plans that I will not say on this live screen. G, I cannot say it on the live screen. It'll have to be, it's something I only say in person. I even got plans, though. Once we keep growing this, I got AI plans. I got technology plans in higher education that I know for sure is going to take some jobs in higher education. Because I know it's some things that can make higher education more smoother, to be smooth. And only difference is, I think a lot of people just don't care about the higher education industry enough to tap into it. So hopefully, you know, in due time, because technology is not cheap. So G said they're just overall cheaper and easier to control. They are. I just think content creation, especially niche content creation, is safe. That is a good perspective to know. And then I definitely need to tweet you to hear about it. Yeah, I'm very closed off. You, depending on what you do, G, you might be some help in the technology area, you in that computer science area. You might be some help. But I definitely can't say it on the live stream. It's some great ideas. Definitely to build that and make it safe. It's gonna cut out a lot of people. So, and then G said, because liberal art degrees tend to do jobs that have very little to do with their degrees. Yeah, I will say that. Yeah. We definitely do. We definitely do. One thing in higher education, I like, man, my last job, when I was working at Georgia Tech, I went to school. I told my dad, he laughed at me. I told my dad this before we get to the last segment. I told my dad this, because we still got time. I told my dad, I said, Dad, I went to school not to be outside. Tell me why I'm outside sweating. He laughed at me because I went to school to stay inside at all times of periods. I didn't, because, like, man, they had me, man, I was loading things in vans. I was loading things on moving trucks. I was using, like, man, higher education, you use dollies. And I'm amazed by how many, forgive me if I'm talking about you, I'm sorry. But your BA sounds like a segue into a MBA. Yeah, organizational leadership. And then I was doing a lot of, like, I use dollies a lot. I use tools a lot. And a lot, no offense to the Georgia Tech students, man, but a lot of them Georgia Tech students, a lot of those Georgia Tech students, they don't know how to get their hands dirty. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Georgia Tech students. I don't know if them Ivies like that. Those Georgia Tech students don't know how to use a dolly from left to right. I had to show them so many times. And because I was their age at 18, 19, working a dolly, it's just a difference. And like it was like if you just get them a dolly, you'd be surprised. G said, yeah, and organizational leadership def sounds like a MBA doorway. Please don't say that, G. I got so many people thinking I should be in finance. I'm like, no, 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 my goodness, don't say that, G. And then, yeah, my dad laughed at me, man, because I be working with dollies, like I said, tools, loading stuff on the dolly, loading stuff out of, man, we had a storage unit. Why are we doing storage unit stuff? If the move and then at the old job, if stuff wasn't like big enough, we were going to have to do it ourselves. That was like, no. Oh, you don't? What kind of jobs you can do with an MBA? I believe that was my experience as well. Most students don't know how to get in the dirt. Oh, CEO type stuff as well. Oh, you know that. Ooh. Because I'm not gonna lie, when I say organizational leadership, it was like a lot of at least at my university, it was popping up like I should have looked into graduate schools like I don't know, CEO or even directors for nonprofits as well. Yeah, I think I do have that tendency sometimes, huh? Trying to direct. But I don't never try. I know how to stay in my role. That's one thing I learned from sports, very most. Cause you know how some people could be one way on the camera, right? And then when you get off camera, or even in a workspace, like people change when they get in workspaces and stuff. And it's just like sports. The same way I am now is the same way I am in sports. It's the same way I am universal, right? Because for one, everybody needs to be taught to different. You can't talk to everybody the same. I learned that in sports, and I learned that in the workplace. Some people don't know that though. Consulting is another. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna tap into that industry very soon. At the rate I'm going, G, I'm definitely I'm gonna tap into that life coach area a little bit. I notice a lot of people. That's why I don't do social media except for business, because that's why I don't do social media. I notice a lot of people who are on social media, and from studies, a lot of people are depressed. A lot more people are depressed, and it hurts me because I don't know why they are depressed. And then I don't care what nobody says, is when I see them scrolling their phone for hours or constantly pulling out their phone, I see why you're depressed. I see why you are. It's genuinely a great time to be alive. It's so much to do. And God, I'm just saying, like, I think G can attest to this, because we finna get to our last segment real quick. It's not nothing really crazy. It's really on time, I feel like. It's a great time to be alive and be thankful. You know, you live in a town where you have access to brokerage accounts on your phone at the palm of your hand. You can you can travel. Sometimes when I talk to my peers about traveling, they like, yeah, it costs this much. It's like, I understand some people don't have those dollars, but a lot more people travel a lot than they used to back then. You can FaceTime people, talk to people, video chat with people from around the world. Keyword, I say video chat and FaceTime, but you could do that. You could talk to people from all over the world with social media. There's some pros to social media, right? Like I just talked to a person from Pakistan, right? Like even like I never talked to somebody from Pakistan before. Now I have, you know, unless they're just lying, but I doubt they're lying. And it's a great time to be alive and cherish. It comes with some bad, but you got to learn how to find the light in it. And so, cause it was some dark times in history in America. I got a TT. I got an Uncle Tico. I got an Uncle Bubba. And they told me how the times were for them as black people back in the day. Like my TT and them, they dealt with segregation. They seen the dark side of America for themselves, you know? And so that's the better history than I ever learned in any history class. When I can ask her stories about history and I know it's real because yeah, it's her perspective or their perspective, but it's real. Like it's not coming from a website. It's not coming from an opinionated article. It's coming from them who lived it and did it. So they saw a lot. Like you think about the short time of that history, like 60, 70 years ago, and where we were and where we are now, it's like, yeah, we hitting some back pedals, but then it's just hard not to be motivated and optimistic sometimes about the future when you think about where we were and where we are now. So G said doom and gloom is how you get people hitched. So social media tends to push doom and gloom. Where you coming? Whoa, whoa, whoa. What just happened? What just happened, G? Doom and gloom is how you get people hitched. So social media tends to push that, and then also there are more people to compare yourself to, which adds to the gloom if they are doing better than you. Ah, ah, you onto something. Breaking news, some breaking news with Trump. He said something about Jerome Powell, by the way, for my financial people out there. G said MS. You talking about Mississippi? If I'm not mistaken, G said Mississippi just desegregated their last school in 2016. Oof. And then G said the last school in the U.S. actually. Then G said, well, I was just saying that's why people are sad because they see and feed into a lot of doom and gloom. Trump is ready to fire Jerome. Man, Trump need to leave Jerome alone, man. He need to leave him alone. That's a good book. Quarter Life Crisis. Get a copy. I highly recommend it. And so Trump need to leave Jerome alone, man. Jerome ain't do nothing to nobody. Yeah, I only brought up that MS thing because you was talking about segregation. Yeah, it's good because some people gonna question my culture abilities, I guess, because I talk more futuristic and more about how I feel like low income people have a chance to go from zero to a lot real quick in these times. But like we talk about, G, it's hard for somebody in poverty to go from 0 to 100 real quick because they don't have the education. And I ain't gonna lie, people in poverty, they're coming from the negatives to something to more than having what they could imagine. People in poverty do have to start in the negatives. That is my strong belief. And the reason I say that is because I read a book on 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel. I know he's not the most popular name right now, apparently. But for sure, people in poverty, middle class too, you got to start in the negatives to get to the 0 then go from the 0 to that 1. And so, yeah, a lot of people don't like my perspective sometimes. When I talk about, like, I feel like you just have a chance now. Definitely, poverty isn't an end game, especially with access and knowledge is the most important thing to have access to. You're right, and and I tell people in poverty, man, like, unless you just don't have Wi-Fi, which you can go to the library. That's what some people used to do. I always had Wi-Fi, fortunately. Um, Coming up, was it the best Wi-Fi? It was some real cheap Wi-Fi though. Some cheap Wi-Fi. It was actually, for most people who don't know, it was Wi-Fi you can get with food stamps, actually. For people who don't know that, it's part of the I had to ask my mom. It's part of something, but you could definitely get Wi-Fi with food. It's under that food stamps area. I think it was part of that. I think it was part of. It's part of something low income. They give you like $5 Wi-Fi, and so, and then, yeah. You don't have to start at the bottom, but you certainly don't have to stay. And a lot of people, they try to stay. And then he said, well, if Trump gets his way, bye-bye. Did you say bye-bye library? He trying to get rid of the library. Oh, guys, my girl get on to me about saying library. She said, I don't say library right. I think it's library. I think you supposed to say it like that. I say library, obviously. I just said it, library, but library. He better not get rid of them libraries. Trump better not do that, man. Better not. All right, let's get to our segment. So, finish your major in 3 years. I thought this was dope. So, this school, shout out to them. Schools got to get the positive light, and sometimes, because I talk about them in the bad light, they got to get the positive light. So, real quick, G said something I think that's important. G said it was the case about the Wi-Fi in 2020 that if you qualify for stamps, you can get credit for Wi-Fi, but it's on a state-by-state basis, how states choose to do it. Now, anyway. Yeah, obviously I'm not with my mom. So, and she don't have that no more for sure, though. She don't have it no more. But definitely in that 2020 time, she did switch to that, and I was upset. Because, G, I feel like you play games a little bit, too. I was playing the game online at the time. I still play a little bit, but I was playing the game, and when I say I used to get mad when people was on that Wi-Fi, if somebody else hooked up to that Wi-Fi, if anybody else hooked up to that Wi-Fi, I was lagging. Them gamers know about that lagging. We know about that lagging. That lag ain't cool at all, and I wasn't appreciating it at all. So, this school is called the University of Maine. They dipped a toe. Chronicle Higher Education calls it. Maine dipped a toe into the 3-year degrees. So the University of Maine system trustees signed off on a new bachelor's program in public administration, business administration, and psychology. Because everybody knows psychology don't take 4 years to do. I'm sorry for all the psychology majors out there. It don't take 4 years to get psychology down pat. It's gonna take you at most probably two years. You really don't need to do gen ed. So University of Maine, they signed off on that for those degrees. It will require students in those career fields to take 90 credit hours. 90 credit hours. Rather than 120 credit hours. Why is this important? This is so important, man. Because there has been speculation about this. But to be the first to do it, I don't know no other schools that have done this. If anybody know another school that's done it so far, add it, say it, please let us know. Maine University don't bear down your weakest link. Don't bear down the weakest link. What you mean, G? G out here hitting me with some lines. Oh, okay, there's more to that. Don't beat down your weakest link. Not another liberal arts major making fun of us. Man, psychology majors are a joke, man. They are. They know it. Somebody say psychology. Somebody tell me, hey, somebody tell me they guys, this goes into the 3-year degree, by the way, what we talking about. If you had listened to before. So remember, University of Maine says you can get your degree in 3 years if you're a psychology major. And G is laughing at me because I'm talking about psychology being essentially a weak degree. If you ask me, a pointless degree. Because it's not pointless, but if you hear somebody say they getting a bachelor's in psychology, they know deep down they don't know this. They need to get a PhD because you ain't finna get no real psychology job unless you got a PhD. So, more of all to say, you definitely need to start at a 2-year. More of all to say, if you're a psychology major, it's no disrespect. It's just being real. If you definitely going to get a psychology degree, start at 2-year, bridge to 4-year, and then my advice too, if you know you're in that liberal arts area, don't get a master's in it. Just skip over it and go straight for the PhD. And if you don't want to get a PhD, change your major. That just saves you a lot of money right there. Like, my professor did that. He skipped his master's and went straight to his PhD. Like, change the game. Don't even waste time on the master's. Exactly. A master's in something like social work or something, or a PhD or something, or a PhD if you all in psychology. Yeah. Like, just go straight and get a PhD. Don't get a master's if you are in that psychology area. That's a waste of time. So this can help you save a lot of money right here. And so it says the programs are limited to adult learners. So remember, public administration, business management, and psychology. The programs are limited to adult learners with prior college credit who dropped out at least 2 years ago. They could start as soon as next summer, provided the institution's accreditor approves. What? See, that's what I be talking about. They only tailor to adult learners sometimes because they got the money. And most of the time, adult learners not even paying for it. They letting their job pay for it. Yeah, I sound real bit mad right now. I'm a little bit mad right now at that. Because they're saying it's only for the programs are limited to adult learners with prior college credit. Why do you why I'm about to do my stuttering. Why the young students can't do it? Why the incoming students can't get the 90 credit hours? Let me see what G said real quick if I keep going on this article. Because they got a posted article. It's called Maine Morning Star. And it's talking about Maine University, of course. We actually going to do a review on this school. I don't think I ever did a review on Maine. G said most PhD programs will give you a master's as well. At least that was the case at Columbia. Man, Columbia, that's tough. I didn't know that. All right, you gonna get the PhD, they give you a master's, 2 for 1. Go ahead. I need that. And then G said, hey, and hey, in the U.S., most PhDs are free. That is true. I have not heard anybody say they went to student loan debt over PhD. I have not. I have yet to hear that. Why? Because nobody wants to go get a PhD. Nobody wants to get that. You look at the generation coming up, our generation, I guess. Everybody talking about Gen Z. It's so famous. Go look at these Gen Zers and ask yourself if they going to get a PhD. Just look at them. They goofy. I hope they hear me too. Goofy kids. Hey, man, what movie said that? The future of our generation. If y'all seen Paid in Full, man, you're like, look, the future of our generation. Ice said, look, that's the future of our generation. That's how I feel right now. Future of our generation. Man, we won't have less. Man, don't let me decide. But I feel like it's a lot more out there, though. There's some good ones out there. Everybody said that about a generation. Everybody says something about a generation, but they come around eventually. They come around. I feel like Gen Zers are more like the hippies today. Just very delusional. It's a phase. It'll wear off. Yeah, it'll wear off for sure. No one wants liberal arts PhD. Here you go, G. Here you go. Here you go. You must not be busy at work because you coming at us today. You can get a STEM PhD in 3 to 5 years. And then G said, nowadays, at least at Columbia, they wanted you to. You better have some Columbia merch. Hey G, I know one thing. You get me make sure you get me a Columbia hoodie or something before I go up there and get one myself. Gen Z is just more aware. So let's go back to the Maine University. It's a little article about them. Maine University system approves accelerated degree programs to address workforce gaps. The University of Maine system is seeking to add accelerated degrees catered to adult learners. Why they can't get this to my young people enrolling in college? They can get degrees in 3 years. Always trying to tailor to these adult learners. I got something for that. And then at their Monday's meeting, system trustees approved for. At their Monday meeting, system trustees approved 4 new shorter bachelor's degree programs. We talked about that. I guess this is part of their way to boost the workforce, get people to go back to school. Like, hey, you can go here and finish in 3 instead of 4. Like, especially if you already got credits, you might not even take you that long. The University of Maine system will seek approval to add 90 credit hour bachelor's degree programs, as we talked about. It's talking about their campuses. And then right here, this is by their chancellor at Maine University. Their chancellor said these new high-quality accelerated degree programs build on our tradition of academic innovation that meets the market, enable our students to realize an earlier return on their investment in their post-secondary education, while getting Maine employers more of the qualified employees they so urgently need. Yeah. This is a form of negotiation in higher education, guys. When you can make a school say, look, we'll take off 30 credit hours and drop it to 90, man, imagine what you can get if you really understood what was going on in higher education. Like, imagine what you can get. Because I accidentally did not pull up my calculator. Because they not going to drop stuff unless you speak on it and know more information about it. Which, while my boy G, who's been supporting, says I'm in a niche, a very different niche, because you can definitely negotiate these things. Of course, you're in a different state. I'm not in Maine, of course. I know Maine is up. Maine is very north. I met somebody from Maine in the military. That's very north. And so G said, I do love Columbia for better or worse. LOL. I once got a bunch of free t-shirts from work I sent to my family, and now there are a bunch of random people in a small town walking around in merch. They are trying to get more students to choose them over the competition. The way you talking about Columbia, I definitely would want my kid to go to Columbia though, or definitely family. If I had, if they can work out something, because I don't have that type of money, just be sending everybody up that way. I don't got that Trump money yet. I don't got that big Trump money yet. So, accelerated programs, guys. But my bigger deal about it, like I said, it wasn't gonna be long, but they're offering 90 degree credit hours, guys, which is important. Now, I am upset though they're not offering it for students who are first time, going to college, first time year-round students. It's more like, so apparently in Maine, I'm assuming Maine has people who they have a good few of people who do not have a bachelor's degree, might have associates, but probably don't have no formal education, because they said people are dropping out with credits. So I got into Columbia as well by that way. What about family? Oh, I give you a kid recommendation. Oh, I got into Columbia as well by that way. Shout out to that. Hopefully people come back and watch our videos. They be like, his kid got in, da 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 da, because they gotta do your homework. Journalists, gonna do your homework. Come watch the old videos. Journalists gonna be mad at me. I don't talk about journalists though. But yeah, guys, they dropped it from 120 to 90 credit hours. That makes a big difference. That's a 30-hour credit difference. Columbia's in Maine? For real? No, it ain't. I'm over here telling G it ain't, and G went there. G gonna be like, really? I just be talking, G, sometimes. I just be talking. Are you saying... Hold up, when you say Kobe... When you're saying Kobe, you are saying Columbia. I feel like that's a nickname term y'all say for Columbia. Oh, no. Kobe is in Maine. What's Kobe? Columbia, right? That's got to be Columbia. Jill, let me know. And okay, this is interesting for my sports people. I always try to get a few sports people in here because athletes, y'all need to know I save money too, especially if you're not getting a full-ride scholarship with everything they got going on. Pro sport unions paying proposed NCAA protections. I didn't get into Columbia by recommendation. I probably would have gotten into Harvard though with a recommendation. Okay. And then right here it says unions represent players in Major League Baseball, Major League Soccer, National Basketball Association, the National Football League, and National Hockey League told Congress that an antitrust exemption is considering would allow colleges to collude and harm athletes. The unions argue exemptions have historically been used to limit wages and keep players from the open market. So, pro sport unions paying proposed NCAA protections. That's interesting. I'm not really in the sports area like that no more because athletes are their own victims in what they do. Personally, athletes make too much money not to be buying up stock, if you ask me. And so, yeah, athletes are in their own little pickle. Athletes, I think we all know about athletes. Athletes is athletes. They don't understand the world. They just enjoy spotlight, just like entertainment. If they understood investing a little more, they wouldn't stress over unions and crap like that. So, let's do our last segment, man. We're going to do Maine University. And G, we will resume that tomorrow. We're gonna figure that out. G. And so, where is it? Maine University. Did we do this school? You know, sometimes I worry about because we review so many schools. I know it's too many schools to really do the same one. But it is a lot of green and gold schools. I would say that. That throws me off. Oh, they're not even green and gold. They said Maine University system, so I need to see a University of, what's this? University. Is it University of Maine or Maine University? Oh, University of Maine. Perfect. Okay. So University of Maine. I don't know why they made it seem like it was Maine University. But he did say, I think they were talking about the system. Like I said, the way they word stuff sometimes. You gotta word it better. So the University of Maine, it's a public land grant research university, guys. Remember, that means they probably have agriculture, and a lot of other areas similar to that with agriculture tech, agriculture planting, and more agriculture because I'm not an agriculture major. I know somebody who majored in agriculture though, or they went to school in agriculture. Um, they are research one school, a very heavy research school. So let's see. Stephen King. I do not know. I pronounced this hockey player name. Paul. Olympia Snow. Frank Crow. They got some. No, that's their noble alumni. Yeah, this is them. So let's do their tuition and fees. And I had so much trouble with San Diego State tuition prices. They had like two tuition prices on their website. Literally like two different prices. Like one of them said you can pay about $3,000 to go there. The next one was like $9,000. I was so confused. I was like, this doesn't make sense. So that was that, right? That was that. That was that. San Diego State was up in the air, for sure. I might not even post that one. I don't know. Yeah, they had the in-state and out-of-state up there, and it was just very like, how can I say, G? They just made it. I think they don't even know their website is like that, because like that's like it was saying that tuition was $3,000, and then I found another like I believe that's what it was. I went on another page on their website, and it was their what is it called? It was their financial aid section, like cost of attendance, and cost of attendance had the outline of like housing and meal plans. It had the whole breakdown, but somewhere on this other website, not other website, it was on the same website, but like a different tab, right? Like a different tab on their website, and they had completely different prices. And then they did have it filtered like out of state, in state, foreign students. Very confusing. I was supposed to call them, but I couldn't find a number fast enough, and I just said, San Diego State, if this was a problem for me, I can't imagine parents and students who don't know. I always ask myself that. That is a big problem. So, the University of Maine is our school we're going to review. So, San Diego State University. That's a school review. Bam. And then, what's the other one called? Not that. Let's see, University of Maine. Does anybody know? Gee, do you know what the cost of living looks like in Maine? I don't know. It's up north, so I'm assuming it's pretty expensive, right? I'm assuming it's very expensive. I am working up an appetite talking. The University of Maine is located with an O. Well, it's higher than the national average. Okay. That helps me. Okay. Even though it's not likely the most expensive. Okay. So let's go. University of Maine graduation rate is 56%. That's terrible. Oh, that's not good. It's not good. It's not good, guys. It's not good. It's not good. It's not good. So 56%, they don't even meet the midway point or halfway point. The average annual cost here is 18 grand. That's on the U.S. Department of Education. Let's go to the tuition and fees at the University of Maine and see. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. I haven't heard of nobody really coming out of the University of Maine, but they are a Research One school. But if you are up north, it could be like that school to go to up north. I could be wrong, but let's see. So right here, oh, y'all doing this. They're so close to Canada. They got Maine and Canadian resident. So they consider Canadian students in-state students. That's interesting. That's so interesting. So their tuition per credit hour is a $424 per credit hour, guys. So they're not showing us they're not showing us in a Stephen King, LOL. Stephen King. I just seen him as a Noble alumni. I just seen him. What is Stephen King? Let me see. I heard that name before. Wait, G, give me a few seconds. Let me see if I've seen something about Stephen King. Oh, Stephen King's the person that did Pet Cemetery. You know how you just you just come across stuff and never know. What else he did? What else Stephen King did? Oh, really? You're lying. That's Stephen King? Nah, they ain't do that. Ah, he wrote it. See how look. See how so look, guys, we can make a segment out of this real quick. So we talking about the University of Maine. We reviewing their school, and guess who went to the University of Maine? Yes, I'm looking at it, G. Stephen King went to the University of Maine. Ain't that crazy? And we were reviewing the school. Another notable celebrity that went to a school. We're reviewing their school. Now, let's hope Stephen King's school is a good review, because we could clip that. Stephen King went to the University of Maine. We can make a little short clip of that. A little short clip. Didn't even know that. Obviously, G in the comment section like, Stephen King, it. Didn't know that. Look, see, all these great people go to college, guys. You see? All the stuff you enjoy, the movies and books, they go to college. So, $424 per credit hour. Let's do that times 12, because you would be a full-time student. Guys, you're looking at $5,000 per semester. And you know me, I'm going to do times 2. So you're looking at $10,000 for the year in tuition alone. This does not include your fees. This does not include your fees. This does not include your fees. I really don't have to expand on that anymore, because I'm pretty sure you know on average your housing is going to be $2,000 and up, and your meal plan is going to be $2,000 and up. So you're looking at about 14. You're looking at about 7. What? 5 plus 2 is 7. 7 plus 2 is 9. So you're looking at $9,000 times 2. You're looking at $18,000 for the year alone in tuition. And G just said something. G just said, well, he went in the 60s, LOL, so a different G. Stephen King did go there by in the 60s. Probably when you can work a work study job. You can work a work study job and pay for college. In those times, man, 60s, they live like, we talked about that, G. They live like, shoot, college, shoot, I could pay for that. College is cheap. Shoot, not today. Everything high, medical, college, the list goes on, right? So right now you're looking at $18,000 in tuition. Remember, You just have to add on that because it's $9 grand a semester in tuition. Add that housing, which is 11. Oh, we already did. We already did. So 9 grand is 18 grand. You're looking at 18 grand easily for 18 grand a year. 18 grand a year at the University of Maine. Let's keep going. So right here, the sticker price on the Department of Education. Where is it? They said you're looking at 18 grand because they factor in housing and meal plans on the low end. Remember, that's always on the low end. Let's keep going. So if you do 18 grand, because now we're doing the earnings, what you expect to earn in those 10 years after being removed from the University of Maine. Remember, this is if you're a financial aid student, but generally if you're going to the school. So 18 grand times 4 is 72 grand for the year. Not for the year, for those 4 years. If you graduate in 4 years, you're looking at paying 72 grand. So 72 grand, and they're saying your average salary, after being 10 years removed from the University of Maine, they're saying you can expect to make about 49 grand in your 10 years. You could either be making over 49 or you could be making under 49 grand. But you're going to pay 72 grand for education. That's on the basic level. That's the basic tuition per credit hour. Because some majors charge you more based on the major. Some schools change based on the major. Why do they do that? Some schools change based on what major is in demand. A lot of supply and demand in higher education. At least at good schools who are trying to make sure they get a good price on on the education they're selling you, so they can charge more because they know if it's a demand for it and they got the supply, common knowledge, right? They can just charge you whatever they want because they got the supply for it. Basic supply and demand, right? It's one of the things you just cannot miss in econ. It's one of the most important ones. So as we keep going, right now, don't need that. Hold up, what's fields of study? I've never seen that. I didn't even know that was a tab. Ah, interesting. So look, let me tell you the most popular majors at this school. They saying this is the most popular major. So the top fields at the University of Maine. Didn't even see this tab in here. They said the top fields, if you go here, is business administration, management and operations. G just said that too. G just said that. Business administration, management and operations, finance and financial management services, teacher educate. You better not go to a school and pay 72 grand and become a teacher. That's all I'm gonna say. Specific subject areas, bachelor's degree, marketing, psychology. Good old psychology. Who has the highest earners? They said electrical engineering technology has a median earnings of 100K. Electrical, electronics, and communications engineering has about 92 grand. Chemical engineering, 88 grand. Mechanical engineering, 87 grand. Construction engineering, technologies, 79 grand. These are very good career fields, guys. Those are like the top 5 highest earnings at their field of study at the school. I'm really not going to pay attention to their lowest debt because debt is debt. It doesn't really matter. So let's close that. Oh, let's go to graduation and retention. They say 76% of their students return after their first year. On a 100% scale, that's not that good. And the graduation rate, once again, is 56%. I have to reiterate that. They have 50% of their students on a 100% scale. 50% of their students receive federal loans. They say you're going to have an average of 25K in student loan debt after graduating from there. So, an average of, what I say? I'm going to say it again. You're going to have an average of $25,000 in student loan debt. I feel like I said $2,500, but you're going to have an average of $25,000 in student loan debt if you go here. That's an average. And you're gonna be really in the hole if you go here to be a teacher and you're paying 72 grand for education, 72 grand for education, but you're only expecting to make like 45, maybe 50 as a teacher starting out. Over the long term, it can help you, but interest does eat. It eats real good too. After talking about earnings, make sure we did talk about earnings. Nope, we did not talk about this part in the earnings. Wow, check this out. This is the lowest I've seen, I think, so far. 71%. The University of Maine says that you have a 71% as a student to get a job more than a high school graduate. You have a 71% chance of making more. Let me say that. You have a 71% chance of making more than a high school graduate. Not looking good, man. It's not looking good. It's not looking good. And then the test scores, remember, as always, you do not have to take the SAT or ACT score. Why? Because University of Maine has a 96% acceptance rate. Oh my goodness. I don't even think they're that good of a school no more. I think they're really in need. And yeah, numbers don't look good. It's the U.S. Department of Education. I'm just telling you. So, yeah. Sorry, man. University of Maine. My ROI ain't looking good. You saying high school graduates can get a better job than me? It's more likely they will. University of Maine, I'm gonna have to give you a. And would I transfer there? Would I transfer to your school after I go to my 2-year? I would not, because you're gonna be charging me $5,000 a semester. And tuition alone, that doesn't include fees that can jack it up to $6,000 a semester, along with tuition and fees. So, yeah, I'm gonna have to give y'all an F. I thought about giving y'all a D. I'm gonna give y'all an F. I only thought about giving y'all a D because Stephen King went there, but times have changed. But that's an F. If they want to revalidate it, they know where to come find me. Please tell them, clip me up. I'm not hiding. I'm right here. We had a great live stream. Like and subscribe. If not, tell somebody. Clip me up if you want. You can send. I know you can do that on YouTube. Clip me, send it to somebody who just gonna reply and respond and be like, "What are he talking about?" And so, please, keep spreading the word. I prefer word of mouth over social media any day, because that's how we build us a community that's different from all these traditional schoolhouses who think they know what they're doing when they don't. So we just gonna prove them wrong. So start a 2-year, bridge to a 4-year. Remember, make sure that school, you can definitely find colleges that's gonna charge you about. You can find good schools too, with great prices, of course. State colleges and universities, they do offer, try to find you one that's $2,000 to $3,000 per semester in tuition and fees, which is very possible. Remember, start a 2-year. Make sure that 2 years not over. You do not want to be at the $2,000 mark. I say you want to be really in some places. You want to be like at the $900 to $1,500 mark, and then $1,750 to $1,800 max. Because you want your purchasing power to be. You want your purchasing power to be higher than the tuition rate. So remember, you can make a lot more money. At least here in America, you can make a lot more money faster and better than I feel like any other place. I think I don't know if that's a brainwash answer, but we make money like no other. So even if you're working at Walmart, even if you're working at McDonald's, even if you're working anywhere, that's a job that makes you money, because that $600 you pocket back 400 and live off that 200, especially if you at home with your parents, or if you by yourself, you know, try to get some roommates. That's what I did when I went to my university. I had 2 roommates. I was paying $483 on rent. So I was my purchasing power, even though I was making like $31,000 at when I was working at Valdosta State full time, the purchasing power was better, you know, because I was keeping more than the retainability was better. I was spending less, a lot less. I didn't have subscriptions. I didn't have Netflix. I didn't have Hulu. I was watching YouTube movies or free subscription. We have free subscription movies out here. Tubi, YouTube, Roku. Guys, it's all the same. It's all the same. So it's ways to save money. And that's how I was doing it. And so G said something before we go. G said, unrelated, how is work going to affect your live streaming? That's a good question, G, because you like tuning in and we are growing. We are growing. It's going to affect me. I have to come on at a later time for sure. You know, that was one of the things that I was trying to do, because, you know, I'm very open book. And then G said, I think America does offer a lot of opportunity to make money, for sure. For sure. And it's going to affect my live streaming, like I said, a lot. I have to come on at a later time. But then I have to implement, because I do work out 3 days a week. I had to still figure out how I'm going to work out, because then I'll come on at a later time. I'll kind of be on that schedule when I was with the military. I'll be on that type of schedule. But the beauty of it is I get off early on Fridays. Hopefully, unless they tell me something different. I should be able to, because I looked at the hours. I should get off early on Fridays. So, yeah. And so, but I really care about this more. So it's really a tough decision. Because I do like doing this and talking about the topics of higher education, and we are doing something different. So it's gonna be interesting. And what I might do, I got some ideas. I'll talk it over with some people. I got some ideas what I feel like what I could do to still make sure, because I come on 5 days a week. So weekends though, that's the only thing I'm worrying about. If I do Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but I'm definitely we're gonna figure it out. But we still gonna be going. We still gonna be live streaming though. Then you may have to move some things around to keep this every day. Yeah, we're going to move some things around. We'll figure it out, but it's definitely possible, right? It's definitely possible. And we're going to make it happen. And we're going to keep growing. So, great live stream. Yes. Great live stream. Appreciate the conversations, G. Musa, who is Arabic. Alice Marie, I know you was in here as well. Appreciate everybody that stopped by. And then we will see you all tomorrow. Peace. With a little chicken grease.